Hello and welcome back to Watch the Game podcast. It's been a while.
Been a minute.
There's a whole lot we can explain, but we'd rather not, I guess. Not right now. We'll catch up. We get you guys caught up down the road. Just know that we had some issues. I'm your boy L.A. Cheatham.
Penn Banneker checking back in. We finally got Bears football to talk about. It ain't the season, but it's getting ready to the season, the precursor to the season. We got to talk NFL draft, Chicago Bears style.
Okay. Penn, I'm going to take a different approach with this.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about the NFL draft and the transactions, things that happened to this football team since the playoffs or the wild card game in Atlanta. What was that?
No, it was in New Orleans.
In New Orleans.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, we're going to touch on, obviously they think the Bears need a quarterback.
Which they do, yeah.
Wide receiver, offensive tackle,
Mm-hmm.
and a cornerback.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't want to go off so much how I feel about certain guys per se, but everybody want to talk about the sexy picks. The sexy picks are the quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, everybody want to know where these quarterbacks going to go. It's been a long time since we had this many quarterbacks get this much pub in the first round.
Projected at 8 of 9 of 8.
I got 9 right now, and I know I'm missing out on somebody.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance,
Wilson.
Zach Wilson,
Yeah.
Kellen Mond, Justin Fields, that's kind of, I guess, falling out of popularity because of issues he may be having. Kyle Trask, Davis Mills, Ian Book.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, you talk about what the Bears can get their hands on, I like Kyle Trask.
We on the same page with that. Just seeing as how the picks probably gonna fall. Bears be at 20 for the first round.
20. They got number 20 in the first round.
And I don't think we need to do anything like make no trade or whatever to go up. Just let the guy fall to us. I hope Kyle Trask is our guy. We kind of looked at some of the tape or whatever. I don't want it to be Davis Mills. No shade to Davis Mills. I just don't think he's going to be the guy for Nagy's system.
They need a guy to please everybody. I think they're going to need a guy with more of a body of work. At least 2 years at their starting position at quarterback at a major football program.
SEC.
Kyle Trask checks that box for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I really question not so much the quarterback. I'm going to question going forward the coaches, because no matter who you get, you got to put them in position to succeed. You can't get so caught and hung up on a system and what you run and what you want to run. You get a guy with a certain skill set. I personally believe in the first 2 to 3 years of his career, you got to exploit his skill set till he gets better at doing the things he's weak at doing. I told you before, I watched Michigan football from the late 90s and early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Belichick didn't ask Tom Brady to do nothing different than he did at Michigan, at least in the first 2 seasons.
Right, he was a game manager. He was driving the bus.
Balanced offense. So what I fear is that Matt Nagy's going to go get a guy and then ask him to do something he's not capable of doing yet. He's going to ask him to speed it up too soon.
But, okay, so do you think Nagy is going to make, I guess, the same mistake twice? Because they brought in Mitch, and they asked Mitch to do something that he couldn't do. Mitch couldn't run Nagy's offense. So we both agree that this is Nagy's pick. We both agree that when Nagy put Nick Foles in the game in week 3, you was on our show and said, this is Matt Nagy's football team. Okay?
I felt that way from that point on. And personally, I believe Matt Nagy, he should be able to pick his quarterback this time. And I do not think Ryan Pace have a whole lot of influence on this quarterback position this time around. Personally, I think that once he brought in Chase Daniel as to be a backup, every quarterback decision from that point on has been Matt Nagy's. In my opinion, that's what I believe. Mike Glennon, Mitchell Trubisky, we can hang them up on Ryan Pace. Yeah. But I think from Chase Daniel, Foles, and how he used Mitch was on Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy is on the verge of getting, you can say he's on the verge of getting Ryan Pace fired just as much as Mitchell Trubisky, because I don't believe he put Mitch in position to succeed based on Mitch's skill set. And that's what I fear with him bringing in the next quarterback from scratch.
Right.
Bringing a guy in with a certain skill set and exploiting that skill set so to be successful, not only for him and his offense, but for all three phases of the team.
But if we're looking at Trask, for what we've seen on tape and watching him play, he play big time football every Saturday. He looks like the guy that can run the offense like how Nagy wants. He can throw it 40 times. He can win the game with his arm. He's athletic enough to make them plays that Mitch, probably not that athletic, but he can move out the pocket and get you.
He can get out of trouble.
Exactly.
That's what I want. Yeah. I want to see a quarterback that's not so eager to get out, run, and go get hit, but just to get out of trouble when, get the feet right, get the feet set, get moving. And I think he has all the tools. He's a big, strong boy. I think he's about 6'4", about 240 pounds.
Yeah. And
you would question his speed. But what I seen on tape, he don't have a problem moving all that stuff around and getting where he needs to be to make the plays he needs to make.
Yeah.
I like him. Now, yeah, he has some studs out there. Now, as far as the receiving core he had some guys. He had if the cow-to-cow hookup. He had Kyle Pitts, one of the other sexy picks in the draft this year.
Yeah.
So, but to make a long story short, I like Kyle Trask for the Bears. I believe his experience of playing 2 years at the University of Alabama in the SEC, probably one of the second best, or third best teams in the SEC in the last 2-3 years. With that experience and that body of work, I wouldn't mind seeing him in Chicago.
Okay, so now let's play the flip side of that. Who do you not want to see the Bears?
Well,
out of these 8-9 guys,
the other guy that they're mentioning is actually two.
Okay.
Davis Mills, who I think everybody is kind of comparing him to Mitch Trubisky due to his lack of experience in the amount of games he's played in college. Because I think he did some things better than Mitch with his ball placement. But, the last thing I think the Bear fans want is to get a guy to come in with a lack of experience in college, and then we got to see him too soon because they saying Andy Dalton is going to be the starter. That's what they said about Mike Glennon too. But after 4 games, Mike Glennon was done. It was a scratch, and now we have to look at Trubisky probably much sooner than we wanted to.
Yeah, because he came in after that bout. So if this all plays out well, is there any scenario where Andy Dalton don't start week 1?
Well, there's 2 ways you can look at that. If that's going to happen, you want to come away saying that damn, we was blown away by the rookie.
Like the Russell Wilson type
we can't help but to start the guy. He's playing well. He's way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
He's doing things we didn't expect him to do. Now, if that's the scenario, yes. But if it's because of maybe an injury to Andy Dalton or the lack of, let's say maybe Andy Dalton's not playing well, then at that point, everything everybody said during this offseason is coming true. But I believe Andy Dalton is going to be serviceable. I don't question Andy Dalton.
He is who he is.
I question Matt Nagy. I'm going to keep telling you. I question Matt Nagy. What he expects Andy Dalton to do with his skill set as opposed to what he wants to do. Is he going to be able to adjust to the skill set? And I think that's what Matt Nagy has to develop as a head coach. Not just with the quarterback, but just with the other 52 guys on the roster any given Sunday.
And the thing with Nagy too, we kind of talked about this off camera too. Is it about winning, or is it about winning how you want to win? Ego. How long he been a coach now?
This is what
This will be his 4th year?
4th season.
Okay. So did you learn in the 3 years? Yes, you went to the playoffs twice. You lost. You have not won
a playoff
You
game.
have not won a playoff game. So obviously there's room for improvement. Can he swallow that pill to say, you know what, let's just win. Let me coach to the talent that I have. Let me win. Or, like you said, we got to win Nagy's way. We got to do all these trick plays with all this window dressing. And I got to ask Andy Dalton to throw the ball 50 times a game and have him in the, not MVP discussion, but he got to be a Pro Bowl quarterback. Yeah, like, has he learned that?
Well, at that point, I think if you're going into the season and you expect Andy Dalton to play that well, you're already on the wrong page. But I just think
he's a 3-time Pro Bowl, by the way.
Matt Nagy, he gave up play calling to Bill Lazor.
Mm-hmm.
And
to do what?
And they made the playoffs, and it seemed like once they got back to balancing the offense, running the football, doing the things Mitchell Trubisky did well, then they kind of backed into the playoffs. Well, now you get into the offseason, and not too long ago, he just mentioned that he said he's going to be play caller. He's going to be calling plays again, and that's what scares me. That's what scares me. Is he going to go? Is he going to call the plays that fit the talent on the field? And considering the fact
and game situation, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. You want to put your defense in a situation to be successful. You want to put your special teams can only control field position. You know what I'm saying? But either they're gaining it or giving it up. But man, Nagy, I just question if he, like you said, if he just want to win or if he just want to look good.
Belichick want to win. I think he has an ego now because now it's about him versus Tom Brady. But Belichick is saying, listen, we're going to run the ball 40 times this week. And next week we might come out because of the matchups. Hey, Tom, you're going to throw it 40 times this week. He's just coaching to the game. Nagy don't do that.
Well, Belichick is one of the best. And no matter how many scandals they can throw out, how many times they can say they cheated, bottom line is he's one of the best. You can never really, from year in and year out, week in and week out, you can never really tell. You never knew what they were doing because they always adjusted to the matchups.
Yeah. On
offense and defense. Now he's known as a defensive coordinator, and he had Josh McDaniels as his offensive guy. But the point is, he's a head coach. He coaches 53 guys, not just one guy. That this guy gonna get me hired or fired. Now don't get me wrong, he had the blessing of Tom Brady, but he had to help. He had to be there the lean years of Tom Brady. But you talk about lean years of Tom Brady, he was successful first start, and the only time he really struggled was when he was injured. So yeah, Bill Belichick was blessed with a good quarterback, but he didn't ask that guy to do nothing he couldn't do. He didn't do at college. And I think he just got better as the years went on. When we talk about Matt Nagy, everybody talking about this quarterback whisper. And I think he needs to get away from that. I would like to see him get away from that. I really would like to see him get away from play calling and just develop.
Because it was working. So why? If it was, I know that's how he made his name as the play caller, like you said, quarterback whisperer. If it's working with Lazor calling the plays, he got you to the playoffs. Because when you was calling the plays, we lost 6 straight. I remember, what game was that when we lost at the end? Was it to the Lions? Poor clock management and we lost at the end? He called that was his last game calling plays, I think.
6 game losing streak. It's a blur to me. All we know is they lost 6 games in a row. And we went from
5-1.
Went from beating Atlanta. Then I think the biggest win for the Bears was the Tampa Bay win.
On Thursday night.
Because as it turns out, they beat the eventual Super Bowl champs. But Tampa Bay wasn't playing all that well. The defense was rolling a little bit, and they hadn't really had enough Nick Foles tape out there, to really know what was going well. But they did enough to win that game. You get 6 game losing streak. All of a sudden, you put Mitch back out there, and then Lazor goes out calling the Mitch plays again. And that's what pretty much succeeded. Bottom line is, like you said, is Matt Nagy full of ego, or do he just want to win? And that's what scares me the most.
It's been way too much ego to this point. I think he came in on, humble. That 12-4 was the worst thing that could happen to him. Because he thought it was because of his system that they was 12-4, but it was the defense that played out of their mind, lights out that year, that got us to 12-4.
And now that will lead us into the alignment of the front office as it exists with the guys on the sideline being the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we talked about it earlier. The Bears front office is like a bad wheel line. You fixed this in, but you didn't fix this in. So now you got Ryan Pace that came in with John Fox. And one thing we didn't talk about was the word is that John Fox supposedly was a Deshaun Watson guy. Matt Nagy, the Trubisky guy.
Not Nagy, Pace.
Pace,
Yeah.
Pace,
Yeah.
Pace was a Trubisky guy.
Mm-hmm.
And can you imagine them not being on the same page from that point on?
Yeah, you see what happened.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now Fox get fired, Nagy come in, get the job. But what I'm saying again, the realignment, one guy is on this end of his career with the beginning of being the general manager of the Bears, and now you got a rookie head coach coming in. So now it's like we out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we didn't come in together. So now, in all fairness to Matt Nagy, we gonna get back on the draft. He needs to be able to draft his own quarterback.
And this is gonna save his job in Chicago or be the end of his undoing. And you say he get 4 years, right?
If it's me, only because the McCaskies are running the ship upstairs. The only reason why is because Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, along with the coaching staff, I believe are the smartest football people at Hallis Hall. Okay, so now you got a general manager that has made some bad decisions drafting in the first round, because if we get into the thick of things, we can find a guy here or there that we know that Matt Nagy, that Ryan
Kyle
Pace.
Fuller is his pick, ain't he?
No, Kyle Fuller. I don't think Kyle Fuller's
Pace pick.
he's not a Pace pick. But Kyle Fuller, he had to make a big decision on Kyle Fuller, because remember, a few years back, Kyle Fuller had I think it was a bad injury,
And he signed it.
and they didn't know if he was just like taking games off or whatever. He was.
This was after that Pro Bowl year he had.
Yeah, and it was like, is this guy really, is he healthy or not? Is he faking us out? And he bet on himself one year, and they paid the man, and they released the man. But you give Ryan Pace credit for that with Kyle Fuller. But what I'm saying is, when you talk about Roquan Smith and Darnell Mooney, and I'm gonna give him some credit for Cole Kmet, because I like Tariq Cohen, and his best offensive draft pick, Matt Nagy traded him away, which was Ryan Howard. Okay, I mean it was Jordan Howard. Okay, but the 3 picks that he's been criticized for is Leonard Floyd, Mitch Trubisky, and Kevin White.
Yeah.
Kevin White he couldn't stay healthy. And I think Leonard Floyd, I think that was bad coaching. They didn't put him in position to succeed based on what I seen what happened with the Rams. I believe Leonard Floyd played a year or two under Chuck Pagano. Okay? So putting him, he always played well. Leonard Floyd always played well against the Vikings. And I think he had pretty good games against the Packers. But other than that, them other 12 games, he would disappear. And we never knew what he could be. I mean, he showed flashes against those 2 teams. But I just think with him, it came down to coach putting him in bad position. I don't think it was a scouting issue from a standpoint of Ryan Pace. I think it was what the coaches expected him to do based on how they set him up to succeed. Same thing with Mitch Trubisky. And then Kevin White, like I say, he just couldn't stay healthy. Couldn't get on the field. He came in as a wide receiver, supposed to be one of the fastest guys, and then when he left, he looked like a tight end. He's a strong, big guy. Looked like he had lost a couple steps because he didn't appear to be as fast as everybody said he was.
He only got 3 years, right?
Yeah, but 2 of them years, he really didn't hit the field.
In the 3rd year, he changed his number, trying to hope for.
Well, I don't know what the hell he was hoping for, but he's showing the hell. I guess he was hoping, to get an extension, and that didn't happen.
No.
But yeah, them the picks that he take the most hit for. I mean, other than that,
and the not drafting Deshaun Mahomes.
Oh yeah, passing up on. And a lot of people give him crap about that, but when you talk about the fact that if John Fox wanted Deshaun Watson, then somebody was in his ear about Deshaun. But understandably so, I can see him passing up on Patrick Mahomes because we didn't know Patrick was going to be who he is.
Do you think he would still get as much flack, even if he still took Mitch, but if he took Mitch at 3?
If he didn't trade up, you're right. If he didn't give up as much, a lot of people don't know what the hell they gave up. All they know is Mitch didn't work out. But if he didn't trade up to get him,
it just took him at 3 straight up.
Yeah, and if he would just believe the hype on Watson for one, he'd have been better off.
Yeah.
I mean, Deshaun Watson's whole career is a whole different. That's something else to talk about right now. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's his biggest knock, man. He didn't take Deshaun Watson.
I'm not even gonna knock him for Patrick Mahomes. We didn't know that.
We're not okay. Yeah, I knew of him.
No, we didn't know. We didn't know he was gonna be this. We didn't know
it was gonna be this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then again, his development was different from Mitch Trubisky. He had a chance to sit and learn from one of the best coaches in the game, Andy Reid. Okay, so coaching matters, man. You're gonna keep on hearing me say this. I don't care what game you play. Coaching matters. Okay. You go from there. We go to the realignment of the organization. 4 years. I think that if Andy Dalton can go out there and play well for this season, and then that's your 1 year. People act as if they signed Andy Dalton to a 5-year contract. He got a 1-year deal.
Well, I don't even think that was the outrage with the Andy Dalton signing. It was the fact that you gave him 10. We kind of went into it knowing that this was a bridge year because it was widely reported that you was in the Russell Wilson sweepstakes. You was in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes because they both wanted to be traded. And then you go sign Andy for $10 million. Matter of fact, ESPN Radio, shout out to Waddle and Sylvie, when the news broke, they said, my man Sylvie said, this just happened. The Chicago Bears decide to set $10 million on fire and give it to Andy Dalton. That's how he broke the news. That's what upset everybody.
Well,
and you got Nick under contract,
But see, that's the thing. Now we. Remember we talked about this.
I texted you. I said, this make sense for me.
We talking about we led this thing in talking about the draft.
Yeah.
And I don't want to key in on the draft because I'm no expert about this guy, that guy. I just hope we can get a quarterback and shore up some positions of need. But being that we took a while to get back to this, you knew we were going to have a lot to talk about when we sat back down and chopped it up. So, now, you're talking about Andy Dalton. We're going to put the 3 guys. I got 3 different scenarios. You got Andy Dalton. We end up signing Andy Dalton. I think Mitch Trubisky was an option. And I believe they desperately wanted Russell Wilson. And I'm glad they didn't make that move because they would have had to give up too much to get him. And I don't believe that Russell Wilson is good enough to cover a bad defense and questionable. You got a questionable offense as it is. I don't think he's good enough to come to Chicago and play well enough to compensate for what you may have given up on defense to bring him in, because they were saying Roquan was on the deal. Some say maybe even Khalil Mack was on the deal. Yeah. So now you giving up Khalil and Roquan.
It was 2 starters and I think some picks. But contrary to that,
and possibly picks into the future. So now you're putting that much more pressure on Russell Wilson
to succeed
and do what? Win 1 game in the playoffs? Win the Super Bowl? What you expect him to do?
Well, Russ was gonna come in. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He went to 2. They should have 2. He only got 1. But the reason he wanted to get out of Seattle is because he said, "What? I'm getting hit too much." So he got Seattle to the playoffs, and he was getting hit too much. So if he can come in, if he can do that with that line, he can come in to the Bears and at least get us to the playoffs. He's good enough to do that.
Okay, remember we said it. Coaching matters. Coaching matters. Who's on the sideline in Seattle? Pete Carroll, Matt Nagy.
But Russell,
Pete Carroll knows
right,
that we have to run football. He respects the arm of Russell Wilson, and he knows you have to run the football and balance this thing out. Okay, so I don't think Russell Wilson is good enough to outplay a bad defense, a depreciated defense via the trade, and then outplay a bad coach in Matt Nagy on the other side. Because as of right now, if I was play calling, he ain't getting it done. So now you got them 2 things working against him. You got one Russell Wilson, a bad offensive line,
and no defense.
Questionable coaching, no defense. That's why I say, leave it alone. I don't want to trade away.
But you don't think he had enough cachet to come in like, "I'm Russell Wilson. We not doing this like this, Matt Nagy."
That ain't how he wrote that. No, he couldn't do that in Chicago. There's only one guy that could have done that in Chicago.
And he plays in Tampa Bay.
He plays in Tampa Bay. There's only one other guy that could do it.
Patrick Mahomes.
His name is he's a cheesehead. His name is Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
There's only 2 guys, in my opinion. Not even Patrick Mahomes can do that because he don't have the years behind. He's got Andy Reid, and Andy Reid, I don't think he gets his credit. His just due. Eric Bieniemy, I don't think he gets his just due. Patrick Mahomes is a special talent. But if you call him the wrong scheme, you're gonna get him hurt. If you look at the way things went this year, the Super Bowl, they won a Super Bowl. One thing happened before that Super Bowl. He messed up his knee or something on a quarterback sneak. When you came back this season, he had a running game. He went out and got
Edwards
Hilaire, and they went out and got the guy that was Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
So he went out and made sure he had a running game behind, along with the weapons he had already had.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson ain't coming into that. He ain't going into what Tom Brady went. As good as Tom Brady is,
he didn't go.
He went to Tampa Bay and he, go give me this dude and this dude. He went out there and pulled LeBron James. Okay, so it's one of the guys that I think can come to Chicago and pull that type of deal. And the only one guy left now is Aaron Rodgers. Other than that, no one else is that good. Okay, and then the whole Deshaun Watson stuff just blows up. That's a whole different conversation because it was talks that they may go try and go get him, but that whole thing changed up with this little deficiency that he's suffering right now. Okay, but I believe you have to buy Matt Nagy more time.
You saying 4 years though? I'm saying he get.
The reason why I say 4 years, I'm saying 1 year to let Andy hopefully Dalton plays well and be the bridge guy that Mike Glennon wasn't. Okay, and then you gotta be real with the expectations of this team. Is this a playoff team or is this a team that you're gonna bridge to a quarterback? And once that, a lot of teams you gotta win on your quarterback rookie deal.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna bridge to the next year, the quarterback, build heavy on the defense the following season, and then say, okay, we all in now. That's why I say you have to give him more time. Because if you fire him, you're just pushing the reset button all the way around the board again, and then your Wonderland is all messed up again because now you got the wrong quarterback. The general manager don't like the quarterback.
The coach don't like the quarterback.
You feel me?
Okay.
So now you just all messed up again. So that's why I say, if you're not going to do, they might as well do the Cincinnati Bengals thing, what they did with Marvin Lewis. Just let these guys ride it out for another 2 to 4 seasons. The only reason why I say 2, let's say the locker room gets out of control. Then everybody gets fired. But if the locker room is under control and we just not winning and we ain't out there just being undisciplined, but we competing, leave these guys be. Because I believe that Matt Nagy is going to be a good football coach.
Are they a playoff team this season coming up?
You have to catch me after 6 weeks. Catch me after 6 weeks. And if they do so, I think it's going to be because David Montgomery,
who's starting to come into his own.
Yeah, it's going to be because he's an integral part of the offense. Robinson's going to be doing his thing. All the pieces in play that had a reputation for making plays got to do it. Because it's not going to be because of Andy Dalton. It's going to be because these guys are doing what they're supposed to do. Matt Nagy's not calling plays over everybody's head. Now, that's a lot to ask. So, catch me after 6 weeks.
All right.
Now, last year after 6 weeks, we were
5-1. Yeah. And we thought it was no way that we'd be backing into the playoffs like
they said the worst 5-1 team ever in the history of football at that time. And I guess they were right, but they eventually backed into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that's why I say the alignment of the franchise, the general manager, the head coach, because the McCaskies run the Bears like McDonald's. You know,
no, it ain't McDonald's, because McDonald's is a corporation.
It's a successful one, I guess you could say that. But the bottom line, what I'm saying is, McDonald's gonna get their customers regardless.
Yeah.
Every year is a whole new generation of McDonald's kids being born.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
Okay. As you progress in the adulthood, you get away from McDonald's. But kids anywhere from 4
to 12
to 24, they gonna go to McDonald's. So what I'm saying is, that's what the Bears are. The Bears got a fan base. They got a great sports town. They don't have to worry about selling tickets. They got one football team in a football town. 8 games out the year, man, people fighting over them 8 games.
Yeah.
So that's why I compare them to McDonald's. If the Bears had to compete with another team in the AFC in this city, then maybe you see some things like the Cubs and White Sox.
Right.
You know, we got to compete for the same fan base.
Yeah.
But the Bears don't have that problem. If the Bears are winning, the Bulls don't matter. The Cubs don't matter. The White Sox don't matter. The Blackhawks don't matter. It's a Bears town.
Yeah.
And to the benefit of the McCaskies, that's what they going on. They know how to sell tickets, and that's just by printing them up. Because you don't have to do a whole bunch of marketing.
Because they coming.
They coming anyway. So that's why I say they need to just buy into the Cincinnati Bengals routine they did with Marvin Lewis. Get them in a little bit more time. Let's see how it work out. And let's just see. I mean, because I just don't think outside of Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace, I don't think anybody else, and the coaching staff, I don't think nobody else knows anything about football.
They're definitely not the McCaskey family. They just.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, hey,
check
it's the family business.
Yeah, the check clear.
Yeah, you can pay him that. We'll agree to that.
Yeah. But
other than that, they don't have any idea what they want to see on the field. They know they want to see a winner, but they don't know how to build that winner. If they fire Matt Nagy, they fire Ryan Pace, who's next?
This is what I don't get about organizations. You said they don't know how to win. Look at somebody that's winning and just emulate what they do.
That's what I'm saying. But they're looking at a lot of organizations that they don't have the ability to mimic what they do. So the only 2 organizations that I think the Bears need to look at is Pittsburgh and Cincinnati Bengals.
So you don't think they should try and model what the Patriots did for 20 years?
Well, the coach does. And I believe if he did that, the team would be better off. And that's what I'm saying. Think about the years Belichick spent. He went to the Jets. He was only the Jets coach for like
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Then he went to Cleveland after that.
Yeah. Okay. So he took his lumps. What I'm saying is I'm gambling on Matt Nagy to take more lumps and get better in the next 2 to 4 years. That's all I'm saying. Because he's a young coach.
With the Bears.
Yeah. With the Bears.
You don't want to see him take his lumps here and go
because
somewhere else and be good.
I like the guy's energy. I like what he brings to the press conference. I even like the way he looks on the sideline. But it's just the things that's coming out of his eye, the things he see and the things he say, I don't line up with right now. And I just need for him to get a little bit more time to develop as a head coach.
You need the right E for him. You need energy from him. You don't need the ego from him.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's
exactly right.
Problem. The ego is the problem. The worst thing that happened for him is them going 12-4, and I'm gonna keep saying it.
You damn right.
That's the worst thing that happened.
Because I tell people all the time, 2018 was not about Mitch Trubisky. It was not about Matt Nagy. It was about a defense that turned the ball over and scored points. And if they didn't do that, they put the offense in position to win. They had good field position. Okay, and it was a bust-out year for Jackson. Okay, Khalil Mack. Oh man,
he should have been defensive player of the year. Remember the first game?
Hey, he made his money against Green Bay that night alone.
In the first half.
And see, that's what I'm saying. See, this is why it's another reason why you just can't just say Ryan Pace got to go, because he was the same guy that made that deal. Yeah, he hasn't drafted well, but he took it. He went through the rigors with Kyle Fuller, and a lot of people are not happy that Kyle Fuller got released. That was a cap casualty. But what I found out was Kyle Fuller I think he only got $10 million to go to the Broncos, and I think the Bears were
just a 1 year deal.
Yeah, I think the Bears
1 year deal.
Yeah, it was, but it was $10 million, and I think the Bears was asking him to take about either the same or a little bit less, or maybe even a little bit more. In some way, somehow, it broke out to people looking at him like, why did he go there when he could have just took a pay cut to stay in Chicago? Bottom line is, though, I think Ryan Pace.
You're right, $9 million.
Ryan Pace has on the defensive end, he's done a decent job outside of Leonard Floyd with some of the free agent signings and some of the draft picks. But you got to align the two guys. Now you got to join them at the hip, and you join them at the hip with this quarterback decision we're making this year. And then you got to give them 2 or 3 years for that to develop. That's the only reason why I'm giving them more time. The Bears don't have the luxury to hire and fire and push the reset button a whole lot. Because outside of the fact we got a great fan base, they're just going to be a loser.
Yeah, what do we got? What do we got?
I mean...
But I'm just concerned about wasting these guys like A-Rod. I know we franchised him. I already think the defense is on the back side of their prime. They ain't got too many of them 2018 years left.
So
we already lost Kyle Fuller. Akeem Hicks can't seem to stay healthy no more. And we see when he's not in the lineup, that defense looks totally different.
Yeah, but what
Eddie Jackson didn't have a good year last year.
I understand you don't want to waste the defense, but let's face it, the defense wasn't that damn good because they weren't disciplined. If you can blame that on coaching too, think about the penalties. Think about the poor tackling that we saw when we started to creep up on us with the Rams. They couldn't stop the run. Don't get me wrong, Akeem Hicks, when Akeem Hicks went down, and then you're talking about the big boy, the run plugger. I forget his name off top because he took
number
the
92,
off. Number 91. He took the season off last year due to COVID. He opted out. The bottom line is, don't be in such of a hurry to get rid of Nagy and Pace. That's all I'm saying, because I just don't think that you have enough brain power as far as football in the organization. So if you break them down to the studs, who you gonna go get? And then we'll be resetting. We'll be pushing the reset button anyway, and we'll be a loser. And unless they get lucky again like they did with Lovie Smith, and go out and get a guy that just comes in and push all the right buttons, because that's exactly what Lovie Smith did as a head coach. And Jerry Angelo was I guess you could say he was a hell of a general manager at that time. But anytime you win, the general manager looks good.
Yeah.
Because you got to think, coach of the year for Matt Nagy in 2018. And I think Ryan Pace was general manager of the year too. Wasn't he?
I don't know.
I think he was. And the thing is, the reward in that was
They got
Vic
comfortable.
Fangio got the job in Denver, so everybody got rewarded, but it's been face down ever since.
Yeah. You start like that's the worst thing that happened to him. We keep coming back.
Because it set up some expectations maybe a year or two ahead of what we expected. I mean, no one was expecting them for one to jump out on Green Bay tonight. The opening night, the way they jumped out on Green Bay, we're like, wow,
Wasn't it like 20-0?
we had a team go to Green Bay and do that, but at that same time, that game showed us everything we needed to know or that we was about to see about what Matt Nagy was in Kansas City and what he was about to be in Chicago. Because if you remember, the year before they drafted Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City blew a playoff game
at home to the
Tennessee.
Colts. When did the
It was
Colts?
the Tennessee Titans.
Okay.
And Matt Nagy supposedly was the offensive coordinator for calling plays.
Yeah.
Now, Andy Reid came in, spoke up for him, and took up for him. Next thing you know, he was the Bears coach.
Yeah.
And then, game one against the Packers,
20-0.
win the game, lose the game. Why? Because he didn't want to commit to the run game. He didn't want to commit to the run game. And here we are 4 years into his career with the Bears, about to go into year 4, right?
Right. Yeah.
Saying the same thing. He will not commit to the run game. All right. Now that's Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace in a nutshell. The best I can explain it. I don't want to get rid of him too soon because I just hope and believe that Matt Nagy is the young coach that's going to grow in Chicago and get his just due later on down the line. Let the man draft a quarterback. Let him become a better head coach. And there you go. Then Ryan Pace will be safe with that too. But when you talk about the team, some of the things some of the changes that have been made. Kyle Fuller was a cap casualty. I think that pissed everybody off. That pissed off a lot of Bears fans. But he was a cap casualty. I think we touched on that a little bit. Brought in Desmond Trufant. Okay. I don't want to get off into thinking what he can or can't do. I just want to mention his name. You know, you bringing him in. I guess he's obviously going to replace Kyle Fuller very early in the season. But that's one of the positions of need in the draft, which is cornerback. Okay, we'll see what they do with that.
They release my boy, Buster Screen. I've been saying I like Buster Screen for a long time. He's gone. Probably cap casualty. My boy, he got all the penalties last year. Number 70, Afidi.
Afidi?
Yeah. You know he got an extension.
Yeah, but did he play as bad as Charles Leonard?
You talking Speed Bump Charlie?
Speed Bump Charlie. That's what my man Toshin called him from The Tape Never Lies. Shout out to him. But yeah, man, that offensive line. I mean, we can go on and on about the guys that made mistakes. That's another need in the draft. You know, offensive line, offensive tackle,
You ain't highlight your boy.
and wide receiver.
Who they just signed?
Damian Williams.
Yeah.
My MVP
Yeah.
of what? Super Bowl
54.
Super Bowl 54
Yeah.
when the Chiefs beat the 49ers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But the man had what he had that night? He ran 17 times, rushed the ball 17 times for 104 yards and a touchdown. And he had 4 receptions.
Scored a touchdown
receiving, and he had 4 receptions for 20 yards. Okay. Patrick Mahomes that night had 2 turnovers.
Yep.
2 picks. And he had to come from behind. But I guess they made the sexy pick and called him the MVP of the Super Bowl. In my opinion, Tom Brady won the MVP of the Super Bowl this season.
Nah, he was. He had a great first half.
Anytime you hold the Kansas City Chiefs to 9 points,
Should have been
out of the end zone,
David.
take your pick. I'm pretty sure it was 2 or 3 guys on that defense.
JBP played his head off.
So you don't come away beating the Kansas City Chiefs by keeping them out of the end zone, giving them up 9 points.
31-9 was the score.
And the defense, the offensive MVP, No, there's no offensive MVP in that. That was a game manager that made some plays. And that's what Tom Brady was in all his greatness that night. But I say there's neither here nor there. You know, Damon Williams is a part of the Bears. I think he sat out 2020. He opted out because of COVID. And
running back room should be nice though, because I like Montgomery. You got Damian Williams, Tariq coming back, right?
Yeah.
Is your boy gone? Is he gone?
That's another thing. Now, a lot of fans are upset with the departure of Cordell Patterson. Okay? And to one degree, I understand from a special teams.
What level of upset? We talking about Kyle Fuller upset, or are we talking about Andy Dalton upset? Like, rank the level of upset. Because I'm not upset.
I'm not either, but I mean, it was something. It's a lot of people had a lot of big misconceptions about the effect that Cordell Patterson had on the team.
Special teams wise, maybe.
I believe he was a professional. He was a great teammate, great energy guy, and I think that's what most people are gonna miss about him. You know how he was just the guy that did what they asked him to do. But I don't want to see him do that anymore. And I just thought that he was misused. They went out and they asked him to play running back. And I knew after week 2, we talked about this in the preseason last year.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. And it didn't work. I don't even want to look at what the man averaged per carry because it was not exciting. It wasn't exciting. It was an experiment gone bad, in my opinion. And just like Bradley Sewell of 2 years ago, Matt Nagy coached Bradley Sewell out of the National Football League. He took one touchdown catch and told the man that he could be an offensive line. I mean, he can go from offensive line to tight end. Can you look up Bradley Sewell to see what he's doing at this time in his career? Is he playing football anywhere? Now, can you imagine if the man just kept playing offensive line? He would be on somebody's team right now.
He ain't even in the league no more.
So man, Nagy coached him out the league, and I think that's why Cordell Patterson, man, I need to get the hell out of here. This dude is actually doing something I can't do. I'm not good at doing. He done took a few Bill Belichick tapes. He done watched a couple successful plays, and he asked me to run the ball 10 times. No. So in that respect, I'm glad he's gone because he's being misused, much like Mr. Trubisky. Okay. The bottom line, man. When we started this thing, this Watch the Game podcast, this is not what we envisioned ourselves doing. But with the time that we've had off, I think I've grown a better appreciation of being a fan, and I think that was the reason why I want to do this whole thing. And I know coming back after having so much time tonight, we probably got off topic, got off subject.
We had a lot to say.
Had a lot of rush to kick off, man. But it's draft time. It's time to go get another quarterback. And I think that's the biggest, sexiest thing that can happen for the Bears is that we go get a quarterback
Kyle Trask
that most people are going to be satisfied with. But I just question the coaching staff and the coach and who's doing this and who's calling that. I've questioned that more than anything. Matt Nagy is on the hot seat more than any quarterback they can bring in, any offensive coordinator, because now he's saying again, I'm going to call the plays. So, in closing to that, I know, like I said again, we ramble. It's been a blast coming back with this thing. Watch the Game podcast. Looking to make some changes, looking to do some things down the road, and hopefully we won't have to leave again. But I'm looking forward to a great off season. I want to touch on, maybe we can touch on some NBA down the line.
Playoffs for sure.
And man, it's just good to be back in the fold with you, and hope everything just continues to be blessed and go well. But we're gonna come back and we're gonna reevaluate this draft because I don't want to get my hopes out on this guy, that guy.
Yeah, we just gonna hold our breath. I'm hoping for Kyle Trask. I'm gonna go on tape and say I want Kyle Trask.
I like Kyle Trask at quarterback, and the only reason why I'm gonna go out on that limb because I know that's what everybody want to know.
Mm-hmm.
who do we think? If they're watching this show and they thinking this is gonna be a draft preview, they don't give a damn about who the wide receiver is. They don't give a damn about who the old lineman is that we gonna pick. They want to know who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
Now, we got a favorite, and it's Kyle Trask. Who's your dark horse?
Ian Book.
Ian Book. That's another guy. It's another guy with a ton of experience in college.
What he play? 2 year start, I think.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe Ian Book is the all-time leading pass. He
might. I know he played in the.
He might be the best quarterback statistically in Notre Dame football history.
I know Ian Book. What was the international championship game? How long ago was that? Because they was
They was in the playoffs last.
And he was a star. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was in the playoffs. So, yeah, that would be my dark horse, Ian Book. Would I be happy about that? I'll be cool. I want to say happy.
I'd be cool with it too, because if they get Ian Book, its chances are, if they get Ian Book, it would mean one or two things happen. And that's another thing you point out. He played with Cole Kmet. I didn't think about that. But if they went out and got Ian Book, a few things probably happened at that point. They either traded down to get more picks,
which is smart.
Because I can't see you taking him in the second or maybe not even the third round, because I don't think Ian Book getting that type of pub.
I think he getting second round looks, but that would be to your point, trading back.
Like, yeah. If you can trade back to add picks and end up with Ian Book on the roster, it might mean that you added some depth to the draft. After they stand pat right now, we got picks number 20, 52, pick number 83, pick 164, pick 204, pick 208, pick 221, and pick 228.
It sounds like we ain't got no pick in the fourth round.
I ain't counting the rounds, I'm counting the picks. The picks is eight picks in the draft. So, if you were to pick up Ian Book with 164
and get some more,
I'm saying you stay pat. You ain't.
You staying pat, so you okay?
Because if
I don't think you're gonna be there 64 though. 164. What was the picks? 20, 52, and then 80?
20, 52, 83, and 64.
I think he'll be there at 83.
It's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft. Let's see.
Because we got 8.
You got a lot of guys that could fall just because of the first round quarterbacks. There's so many of them guys that's projected. You got 5 or 6 guys projected first round.
Right.
So I think once those guys come off the board,
it's gonna be kind of
those other guys gonna sit there for a while because everybody got to go after these offensive linemen, these wide receivers. A ton of wide receivers, a ton of talented wide receivers in this draft, and then everybody can use the next good offensive lineman. So I believe once your first 6 guys, once the first 6 quarterbacks go, I think it'll be a while before you see some other guys, and I don't think Ian Book is in the top.
He ain't. That's what I'm saying. If we at 20 and Trash is there, you gotta take him.
Whew.
You would wait on that?
I like Kyle Trask.
Man,
I probably would.
I'm taking him.
But the only thing I can see you taking Kyle Trask, because I think Kellen Mond's stock is high too. Kellen Mond and Kyle Trask, and I think Kellen Mond's stock is higher than Kyle Trask right now.
That's why I think somebody gonna get him before we get to him.
So if that happens, if you end up taking Kyle Trask at 20, I think it'll be because the guy you wanted, the first guy on your board is gone, so you got to go get him.
You think mine is higher than Trask on their board?
On everybody else's board, yeah, because he's getting a lot more of the hype than Kyle Trask.
Man, I'm telling you, that 20 Trask at 20 would make the draft for me. I would get Trask at 20. You do that, then I'm cutting Foles at that point because we got to cap. We can't have 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
Well, just the thing, see, because there's a lot of people it's a lot of other guys, a lot of so-called experts that think that Kyle Trask or Kellen Mond and Nick Foles and Andy Dalton, they think that's a great situation for a young quarterback to sit back and bridge under them 2 guys. But like you say again, are you gonna pay Nick Foles that much to be the assistant coach or the quarterback whisperer? Right. I mean, that's something to think about. But if you was to do that and it contributes to this next guy being much better than Mitch, I'm not gonna say a starter, but I'm gonna say much better than Mitch. Okay? I'm not gonna say a superstar. Superstar is Patrick Mahomes.
So you talking about a Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
Because he ain't upper echelon, but he right at 10.
Josh, what's the kid's name in Buffalo?
Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
He on the way to being a superstar the way they was on
Yeah,
him.
but that's what I'm saying, progressively.
3 years
But he's done it with a defense and a running game.
Yeah.
His coaches allowed him to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, if you can get this quarterback at 20, you got to go get him that high up in the first round because you might not even have time to. You might be right because you ain't got time to wait because his option will be coming up.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't know about picking a quarterback at number 20, but my scenario is this. And you're talking about keeping Nick. If I'm talking about keeping Nick Foles, it'd be only to help develop this guy. A lot of experts think that Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, and whatever quarterback you think is next, sitting in there with them 2 quarterbacks, a lot of people think that's a good mix of a couple of guys that guy can learn from and bridge off of. Now, like I said again, if you want to pay him that much money to do that, that means eventually he's gonna have to hit the field.
Exactly. That's way too much money.
I'm talking about Nick Foles.
I know.
You don't want this rookie to hit the field. You want Nick Foles to play if you got to pay him that much. But at the same time, you want Andy Dalton
to play
to be a successful too.
Because you already paid him that much. Yeah.
It ain't even about. And at that point, if you bring this guy in and he develops and it's like his second season in, all of a sudden he's on the verge of winning football games for you. Who gives a damn how much money you pay? Because now this guy's on his rookie deal.
And
second,
now
third season.
That's the time to go for it.
That, you know, and at that point you build your defense again. Because that's the time to do it. You can only build your defense, or a lot of teams are capitalizing on rookie deals when it comes to winning Super Bowls. If you look over the past, you got to try and win early. You got to win it early. Mahomes and Russell Wilson are 2 examples. Can you call that back to me again?
Okay, Cordell Patterson, stats. 64 attempts, 232 yards, 3.6 yards a carry, 1 touchdown.
Those are not Pro Bowl numbers.
16 games.
Okay? Bottom line, like I said again, he was misused.
Mm-hmm.
He was I think he had 2 touchdowns. How many touchdowns did he have returning kicks last year?
I think 2 or 3.
He was a great locker room guy, great teammate, great professional. That's what he was. He wasn't leaving here with. He didn't take any Super Bowl rings with him,
other than the one he came with.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't. I mean, he did not take the Super Bowl rings away from us. I mean, they fell in love with the guy. I understand, but I'm glad he gone because I don't have to sit back and watch him play running back anymore. Damian Williams,
Montgomery,
Tariq Cohen, Montgomery. And you know, they did resign Ryan Nall. Okay. Okay. like I say, man, we rambled on this thing. Glad to be back, and we're looking forward to the draft. I like Kyle Trask. That's the sexy pick. I mean, the only other guys, outside of these quarterbacks, the only other guys get any pub is people like Kyle Trask's teammates, Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida.
Devontae
Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Najee Harris out of Alabama, the running back out of Alabama, and the 2 wide receivers, Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith. And I want to throw in Travis Etienne.
Okay.
Along with, we know about all the quarterbacks: Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trey Lance. But I'm looking forward to the draft, and we'll reevaluate things when all the picks have been made
and the dust settled.
And then we can get off into this off season and get excited about another year. Maybe not so excited about another year.
We either gonna cheer for them or laugh at them.
That's my thing. I'm prepared to either cheer them on or laugh at them. And I'm hoping like hell I can be cheering this year, but I'm gonna be realistic with my expectations of the Bears. That's just the bottom line. I'm looking forward to the draft.
Yeah. Hey, NFL draft time.
Watch the game. Check us out. We'll come back at you.